Ladies and gentlemen, Mud Creek. Take a good look at this. You need this on your shelf. We're here with Kelly Ferguson. He's the author of Mud Creek. Fair Park Publishing just put this book out. Just got published last week. So we're talking today with Mr. Kelly Ferguson, and we're going to talk a little bit about this book, the inspiration behind the book, and what took him so long. Catch us on the flip side. All right.
Well, hey, Charles. Or is it Chaz? Which?
Charles, Chaz, it doesn't matter. They call me everything.
Chaz.
Right.
Chaz it is.
Chaz it is. So, as Kelly alluded to it, my name's Chaz. We're here today to talk about a book he just released through Fair Park Publishing called Mud Creek. I've had the pleasure of reading this book. I've had the pleasure of having a signed copy of this book, and let me tell you, it is something fabulous. It's something to see. So we wanted to ask Mr. Kelly a few questions here. Let me get my glasses. Now that you see my pretty face, we'll get back to who we are. So Mud Creek, where'd the ideas, where'd the inspiration for Mud Creek come from?
Well, they germinated, they've been germinating for years. It was a kind of a synergistic coming together. I was reading one of the most famous Civil War books of all time called Killer Angels. And it's up here on my bookshelf somewhere. And I also was attending a workshop on dissociative disorders over in Orlando at the time. And for some reason, those two just caught fire with each other. The subject matter of dissociative disorders, which is common in the field, and the wonderful book Killer Angels. If you haven't read it, read it. It's 3 days in Gettysburg. It just puts you right on the ground. But out of that came the story idea for Mud Creek, and it just kind of took off from there.
Okay. So, Killer Angels.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's Sheridan, or no, that's a general. Scherer, I think, is the guy's name. He's dead now. It sold. That book was written in 1976, I believe, and every year it sold over 1 million copies.
Oh, wow.
Every year.
Wow.
It's the best-selling Civil War. But anyway, I was reading that and went to that workshop, and boom, the idea for this book came about.
Okay. So, one of the things I noticed is that you were referred to as a Southern storyteller. I know what a Southern storyteller is. A lot of people do, and some people don't. So for those who don't, what would you classify as a Southern storyteller?
Well, if you were born in the South, everybody's got one.
Right.
You know, it might be your uncle or aunt or someone down at the general store, but they always have a great story, and they leave you laughing, and usually there's some kind of moral to the story, or metaphor, or something. But stories are disarming, and they're wonderful ways of getting a point across without getting the point across. You just kind of slide it in there rather than hit them over the head with it,
Gotcha. So, as far as the art of storytelling and Southern storytelling, why do you feel storytelling is important besides being able to get the point across and slide it through? Is it something to do with maybe keeping heritage alive, or letting, like the ancients did, passing down history?
For thousands and thousands of years, that was the way information was shared from one generation to another. Is through storytelling, and it's really kind of a lost art, and everybody's got a story. And those best stories are the ones you've heard before, but you want to hear it again. Right. Tell that one again. And I have a brother that's an awesome storyteller, and we just kind of grew up in a family where there was everybody had a good story, and when we get together, it's kind of like, oh, you got to tell that one again.
Right.
Of course, everybody's heard it, but what the hell? That sort of thing.
That's true. I know people with those stories, they have 2 or 3 of them, and those are the stories.
So it's a form of entertainment, and escapism as well as having a moral to the story, and the more you tell a story, the better you get at it too. You practice it, and so. Which
reminds me, I have a story to tell you when we get off camera.
I can't wait. and it's kind of like that,
Right.
One is kind of like joke telling, one kind of leads to another, and that sort of thing.
So Mud Creek's been a long time in the making. When did you start writing?
1991. This book has been 19 years in the making, and I tell people it was like giving birth to a breech rhino. when you go, I think I'll write a book, I have to be careful because I usually do what I say I'm going to do, and it took a long time. Family, life got in the way, career, that sort of thing, but it never, it was like a rock in my shoe that I had not finished that project. And so to open that box of books the other day and see Mud Creek was just, it was pretty awesome.
Awesome. So my next question would be, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to know, if you started in 1991 and you said it was like a rock in your shoe that kept just irritating you, I understand life. There's things that do get in the way and that may slow things down. Mm-hmm. But what was the catalyst, or what made you decide, I got to finish this, I got to get this out here?
You might not believe this, but it was the characters in the book. I wanted to give them a voice. To let that thing sit on the shelf would have been a travesty. I love the characters in this book. I fell in love with. They're flawed. They're rascals.
Oh my God, are they flawed?
They're rascals. Every character in this book, you will know someone like that.
Right.
We all got, I'm not going to divulge the characters' names, but we all got one of those.
Right.
And, I just wanted to get it out there and let people meet these characters, flawed as they are. And it's really I think a character-driven story. I like character-driven stories. Right. The plot has to make sense too, but it's those characters that are memorable. You can't get them out of your mind. We all know some of those.
Right. So, yeah, I've read the book. It's gripping. I think I told you that it had me knotted up inside at certain points from the tension that was happening between some of these characters.
I tried to keep that thing moving along. It's a page turner.
It's pretty sassy. It's pretty saucy. How do you think, or how do you feel people will react to your book when they read it?
One of my favorite sayings is, "What you think of me is none of my business."
Wow. Okay.
To me, art is to create some kind of an emotion.
Right.
I don't get to control the emotion.
Right.
But if it moves you, I've succeeded.
Well, you've succeeded on my end.
I have a saying, love me or hate me, but spell my name right.
You got it. Got it. So, with that being said, and I think you've pretty much nailed that one. The book gets deep. It covers life in Mississippi in the South, more specifically Mississippi, in 1954. Covers areas we know, areas you grew up in, areas I moved to back in '97 when I moved to Mississippi.
Okay.
And considering the time frame, there are some subjects that some people would consider taboo or out of bounds to talk about. However, it fits everything we know, from the historical side and the anecdotes we hear from people, telling stories about growing up. How would you respond to critics who say you might be pushing the envelope just to push the envelope?
I made a promise to myself when I started this project that I would be fearless. And, I would find that little voice on my shoulder trying to talk me out of putting that in there.
Right.
And that's exactly what I put in there when I heard that little voice, because, you can't tell a story without having a context. And the context of 1954 is different than the context today.
Right.
And if you judge this book by today's context, you're going to get all twisted. But that context, and I challenge you to, think about the context when you're reading this book. This was in 1954, and we made some wonderful changes since then.
Right.
We made a lot of progress in Mississippi. But my gosh, in 1954, it was different than today. So this book was, the setting's 1954, and I tried to capture that as much as possible too.
So one of the things I know about you, and you mentioned this in your bio and it's in the book, is that you work in the healing arts. You work in the, with helping people with their lives. How did your work, or how would you say your work, influence the psychology behind your characters and the philosophy that's being displayed in their lives?
I don't know if I can answer that. What comes to mind is I see a lot of people in my line of work, and the ones I fall in love with are those genuine people.
Right.
There's no pretense. What you see is what you get. They're not trying to impress you. And so I tried to create characters that you would believe and that are real.
Right.
And I hope
I think you've succeeded.
Achieve that.
And by no means am I trying to blow smoke here, but there are a couple characters that literally tug at my heartstrings because, like you say, we all know people like these. We all have someone in our lives like this.
Right.
And
Right.
I couldn't believe at the moments that a tear would try to start hitting my eye and I'd have to turn and walk out the room because the grandkids are in there that want to see me crying or nothing during the day. Or the times I just want to throw the book because I was so angry at what just happened to somebody.
Well, let me say, one thing about the characters in this book, flawed as they are, I do truly believe everybody was doing the best they knew how to do.
Right.
That's given their predicament, their station in life, and it's hard to think about a book in 1954 in Mississippi without thinking about race, but there was class too.
Right.
And this book captures more about the class, the haves and the have-nots, the landed gentry and the poor sharecropper. So that doesn't get talked about a lot, but I hit on that in the book too. It's the kind of a study of class, and also it's a study, not to give the farm away here, but there's a saying that I like: God abhors a vacuum.
Right.
So at the beginning of this book, there was an incident that created this vacuum. You call it a power vacuum or whatever you want to call it. But it changed the paradigm in everybody's life. North was not north anymore. The North Star was not where it used to be. And so everybody's trying to scramble around and get their sea legs under them again. And some do it better than others. And, you know, we all know some of us can deal with change better than others. But
right.
Anyway, it's really kind of a study in what happens when there's that monumental shift in people's lives.
Awesome. So, I guess wrapping this idea, Mud Creek by Kelly Ferguson, and it's published by Fair Park Publishing. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, Fair Park Publishing. So, where can people find the book?
Well, you can go to fairparkpublishing.com, and there's a shop button, and you hit shop, and boom, there it is, and you just put it in your cart and go on down the road.
Awesome.
And you know, buying those books, I'm signing each one of them, and there you go.
Okay.
You get a signed copy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk with us about your new book.
Thank you.
We wish you much success, and we look forward to seeing. Real quick, before we do that, do you have plans on writing anything else?
I have some trepidation about saying this, and this is one of a trilogy.
Okay.
There's 2 others in the hopper, and
gotcha.
I will not take making a promise to myself 19 years to finish those. So, yes, there are 2 more coming.
Okay.
All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Kelly Ferguson, author, Southern storyteller, and he's the author of a book called Mud Creek. You can find that book at fairparkpublishing.com. More specifically, when you get there, hit that shop button in the menu. It'll take you right to it. If you're the person who likes to hear a long URL, that's fairparkpublishing.com/mud-creek. And I encourage you to purchase the book if you love reading stories where characters will capture your attention and make you not want to put it down. This is one of those books. It's already got me begging for more. And the buzz that we're hearing is amazing. People staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning reading. Heck, it's get behind it. It's a local author. Get behind your local authors.
Yeah.
If you're in Mississippi, everybody in Mississippi needs to have this book on their shelf. Period.
And if you like it, tell somebody.
Yes.
Word
yes.
of mouth is how I plan to market this book. So tell somebody.
Share the book on social media. Share the links on social media. Let people know about Kelly Ferguson and Mud Creek. And we're out. We look forward to talking to you soon.
See ya.